Mental Health. I'm Bob Yevney, your host, and we're coming to your homes to talk about the different mental illnesses, mental conditions that people have. Of course, we all have issues, and a lot of times we talk about people's emotions or the human condition. I would like to welcome my friend Richard Phelps, who is the computer guru. That's all I can say. Anything electronic, he can handle it, man.
I've been a little tapped out this week, but I'm here.
You here, yeah. This is cool, man, with that hat. That's cool. And there's
I got these dark glasses on because for some reason my eyes are light sensitive tonight.
Yeah.
But they're actually one of the colors that seem to be helping with my attention span, which sometimes goes down the tube.
Yeah. You look like an artist.
Yep.
and to my far left is Jim Ferris, and Jim's going to be our musician, and we welcome you to the show, Jim.
Thank you very much.
What you going to be playing?
I'll play a new song of mine called Square Pegs.
Okay. When it's time. Oh, not yet,
Okay.
not yet.
Whoops.
Okay. and then, of course, to my left is the awesome Emily Wells.
It's okay.
Emily Wells.
I will take offense.
The gorgeous Emily Wells, who besides being beautiful on the outside, is also very beautiful on the inside. And you know, she has enhanced our show ever since she's been on the show.
I appreciate that.
And-
I add that she is a NAMI trained facilitator, and she is very good at it.
Yeah, she's very good at
There's
it.
a training coming up. I'm not sure
Yep.
when yet, but a lot of us in the support group are wanting to move in that direction.
That would be excellent. That would be
Yes.
excellent.
And of course, we'll be having the NAMI yearly conference in New Orleans, April 17th and 18th.
Right, that's correct.
And we'll be going over there, you know.
Yes.
And it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be
For
fun.
those who don't know what NAMI is, National Alliance on Mental Illness is a grassroots citizen advocacy and education group. I'll tell you, I took a 12-week education course a year ago, and that has saved my friend's situation. The doc put them on a new med. They started getting some very strange side effects. So I said, let me look this thing up, right on down the list. They called the doctor, they tapered, the new word is titrate. My old school word is slowly go down the dosages.
Yeah. Taper off the dosage.
Yeah, I didn't know there was such a word as titrate, that's a new one to me.
Yeah.
But all that was in there, and the course was free,
Yeah.
because the walk for NAMI, which is not that far away,
October.
First Saturday of October, River Ranch. Hey, musicians are welcome to come. Anybody that can cook a good jambalaya or an etouffee, bring it on.
I would like to thank Jacob White for giving us our background of that incredible oak tree and the bridge, man. It's really pretty. How you like that?
That's nice.
That's
That is
cool.
nice.
That gives a good back.
Yeah.
Where is it?
And like when we start the show off, we always ask for prayers. And these are the people I ask for prayers for. First of all, Miss Jackie Ballou, who is my guardian angel, you know.
Yes.
You know, most people can't see their guardian angels, but I can see this one. You know, Miss Jackie's a wonderful, beautiful lady. She read my book in a few days. She liked it.
Oh,
You know,
yeah, it
I
just
gave
took
her a
her
book.
a couple days, huh?
Yeah.
Nice.
I've had a few people that read
Yeah,
the
right.
book in 2 days, you know. So, and everybody, but just about everybody that read it likes
yeah.
it. So, you know.
It
that,
must be that once you get started, you can't put it down.
It takes you in,
Yeah.
yeah. I had an interesting life, you know.
Yeah.
Especially my hippie days, you know.
Oh, yeah.
I think that people get, and then the weightlifting, you know,
Yeah,
and,
weightlifting.
and all that, and God and all that.
Well, keeping it real.
Yeah.
I think that's what people identify with when you went through all the relationships, got busted, all that. You'd be surprised how many people sitting in the atmosphere have been through that very same thing.
I know.
They may not say it, but they
Yeah.
were definitely relating that's a 60s word. It was
Yeah.
relevant.
Yeah. Well, I made it as real as I possibly could, and I think that's what people like about
Yeah.
it. They like genuine stuff.
Yeah.
This is how a society that's so filled with abstract and phony things. When somebody
Right.
comes on with something genuine, some people latch on to it, and kind of like an underdog story too.
Yeah.
So So anyway, and also I'd like to pray for Patsy Bertrand, Liz Bertrand, and Toby Bertrand. The Bertrand, Patsy is one of the nicest, sweetest, beautiful women. Liz is beautiful too, it's for more beautiful women, and we pray for their health. We pray for Juliet Landry, who is a cousin of mine. We pray for Pete Delcom. Rich is also for Charlie Chardonnay, that's Jeremy Chardonnay's dad, and Jerry and Carol DePlantis, and I think we got everybody.
How's Brandon?
And also for Diane O'Quinn's family, her dad passed away.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How's Brennan doing?
I guess Brennan's doing all right. I talked to Jerry. They had Easter at Jerry's ex-sister-in-law's, his brother died, but his sister-in-law cooked him some crawfish,
Okay.
so it was good.
Well, I have a praise report for my mother. Some of you may know she had to go to the hospital after a fall, got a minor hairline fracture of the pelvis. Well, anytime you move someone that's 89 years old, they're going to get a little confused, and she was hesitating and pausing in sentences the worst I'd ever heard. And when they first told her she was going to be moved out of assisted living to a group home, she kind of freaked out. Well, now that she's been there for a week, I called her, my bad, later Easter Sunday. She sounded almost normal.
Well, that's
No
good.
hesitating. I was describing it. She asked me how my job hunting was going, and I described this one job, and she said, "No, you don't want to be running around a building lifting stuff."
No.
Because I had that happen in one former job where I got a little hurt, and I tried to explain to her what is a virtual center call job. So I thought that's not going to make sense to her.
No.
It's where you take calls at home through a computer and phone setup, and you are acting as a customer service rep for like one of the big companies.
Yeah, I don't think that's good.
She understood that.
Yeah.
And said that sounded like a good deal because you make your own hours.
Well,
They work with Social Security, so you don't go over and get messed up on your disability. So
Right.
I'm looking into that. Just pray for my job hunting. It's been tough out there, folks. For anybody that's job hunting that has a mental health issue, the
It's hard.
biggest thing is the rejection on that interview, or you just don't hear back.
yeah, and plus, Richard, your age too is, they want the young
Yeah.
20-year-olds,
Yeah. Now, if you all can keep your eyes and ears open, I heard that there was supposed to be like a senior job bank.
Okay,
That's all I know at this point, so if we all can put our ears out,
okay,
I'm not the only one in that category, so
okay,
thank you.
okay. Okay.
Oh, and Deborah is much better in the hospital. She had double pneumonia, out of a ICU. She's wanting to go back to Mississippi.
Okay. And then also I'd like to have prayers for our friends Nellie Harrington and her son Brandon, who are having difficulties. We ask for very much prayers out there. When we know we go out to 500,000 homes, and with one or two people living in the homes, or maybe a family, we ask for prayers for them.
Yes.
And usually on the show I read my books to I guess to toot my own horn. Because if y'all knew where I came from, y'all would understand why I'm so grateful to where I am now. And I don't brag on me. I mean, I had something to do with it, but, if it wouldn't have been for my spirituality with Jesus Christ, I'd probably be smoking 5 packs of cigarettes a day, living under a bridge or something, I don't know. Or I'd be in a hospital or halfway house or something.
That you're on your third book.
This is my third book.
Yeah.
and I'm excited about that. I started my third book, and it's gonna be. I wasn't sure. I've been thinking about it for a few months what it was gonna be on, and my second book, Mental Illness, God and Healing, is in the process of being edited, so we're working on that, and I'm so glad I finally figured out what I'm going to write my third book on, and it is a science fiction about time travel, and I'm going to read some of it to y'all. This first of all, we'll give you the scenario. The main character, Jared, is in a movie theater watching the movie The Time Machine. This is in the 60s. Weena, where are you? The desperate time travel calls out as the fire rages all about him. After losing Weena and seeing the hopeless plight of the Eloi and their masters, the Gorgolite Morlocks, who represent the society of ranchers and their cattle, the time traveler then finds his time machine. He takes a few time jumps into space, finally coming to the point where the sun is growing larger, redder, and dimmer as the world he has known and traveled dies out. He eventually returns to Victorian England, only to leave and never return. Wow, what a movie, Jared tells his friend Richard. That's you. I know the professors at school talk a lot about time travel, and I know my dad has studied it a lot when he was alive. Yeah, your dad was a pretty cool dude, Richard, Gerald's friend replied. And there I was in 1967 at the age of 18. This is a story that's the main character talks about his life.
Okay.
In a small college town, Layville, which is really Lafayette, in southern Louisiana, you could describe Layville as an in-between city. It wasn't a small town like the ones in middle America that dot most of America and has its family, morals, and integrity, the backbone of American society. Layville always wasn't on par with the big cities like New York or Chicago, as it was too small. Therefore, Layville was an in-between city, not too big and not too small. In fact, it was a perfect-sized city to live and grow up in. It still had its small-town warmth and hospitality and morals, yet it wasn't in the ancient times where the old ways were still the norm. Such as in the small towns, most of the people made their coffee in coffee pots, putting the coffee grains in the top of the coffee pot, pouring hot water heated on a stove into the coffee pot for a good brew of homegrown coffee. The analogy I'm trying to make is that in Layville, it's a modern small city. To make coffee, many of the people in the modern city age use coffee machines to make their coffee, unlike the people in the small towns. But don't get me wrong, Layville, like many small towns in America at that time, also had its own innocence and small town enchantment. I had grown up in Layville with my mom and dad having 3 children, my older brother David, myself, and my younger sister Maggie. My father had been a physics professor at the local University of Morton, or UM as it was called. My dad was an easygoing, good man, but he was so busy with his work that I didn't spend much quality time with him, leaving me no nurturing except for my mother. However, in those days, in the 50s and 60s, the norm of raising a family back then was that the fathers worked and provided for the home, shelter, food, provisions, and material goods, while the moms did the nurturing and raising of the children. That was how the society worked in the back in those days. That's a typo, and that's how I grew up. However, I would soon learn about how special and extraordinary my dad was and how in awe of him I would become. I never had much contact with my dad while growing up, as he was always busy with his work. Therefore, because of the lack of bonding I had with my dad, I grew up very insecure, very meek and shy, unlike my brother and sister, who seemed to have no problem in dealing with the outside world. My older brother David had joined the Marines and was stationed overseas. My sister Maggie was still a freshman at a convent school in Layville. Both of them seemed to be doing well with their lives. They both had a lot of friends, and I could tell even from afar that my father was very proud of them. My dad himself was an overachiever, being a physics professor, where he earned his doctorate at LSU, the biggest state university in Louisiana at the time. He had graduated in 1940 from LSU with a full doctorate in physics and married my mom, Henrietta, the next year as he dated her all through graduate school. They were very much in love, and my dad soon became part of the faculty of LSU, teaching the freshmen and sophomore classes rudimentary physics, or like they say, the beginners physics classes. My mom and dad lived in a quiet bungalow near the Mississippi River, and my mom took a part-time job washing clothes for the families and elderly, and they were a happy pair with both of them young and starting out in life on a good note. I would listen to the stories from my mom when she would recall those days when she wasn't working. She told us kids that she would sit in a comfortable chair on a hill along the river and feel the peaceful feelings that water always brings to a soul. She would study the cargo ships sailing down the river and wonder what wonders the sailors abroad would encounter in the different ports they would visit all over the world. She would imagine herself as a sailor visiting Hong Kong or the Sudan or the magnificent European cities, and just how much adventure it would be to travel the world abroad. Henrietta was highly intelligent with a very active imagination. Like her husband Robert, Henrietta had attended LSU and was very aware of how the world operated. She would envision herself sailing to faraway places like China and walking on the Great Wall, meditating on the years of sweat and tears that were shed to build this amazing creation. At other times, she was in Egypt with its colossal pyramids and fabulous artifacts with their gold and silver crowns and treasures. Another time, she was in the Louvre watching the greatest painters and artists from throughout the world displaying their wondrous creations, from the Venus de Milo to Da Vinci's Mona Lisa to the crown jewels. Jared loved his mother very much. And as he didn't spend much time with his dad, he spent many wonderful times with his mom, talk of her dreams for her children and her family. It was from his mom that Jared got a love of adventure and history and a wonderment and love of life and life's amazing treasures that were waiting to be discovered by an industrious person with great courage and curiosity to find it. The traits that Jared received from his mom of love and adventure would serve him well throughout all of his years. However, as valuable as his assets from his mom were, his traits he received from his dad were equal in importance. That's where I got to.
Yeah.
Was that long? How did it sound?
Sounded good.
It's
Sounded good,
interesting,
too.
because there was a
Yeah.
professor from LUSU that appeared on another show here in the studio and wrote a book, Science Before Science. I cannot, for the life of me, remember his name, but there was a book I read called Einstein's Bridge.
That's what I want to read. I'm going to read that about time
Professor of
travel.
Physics and Astronomy in Seattle, and in the storyline, something goes wrong with a particle machine. It gets way technical, but creates this sphere about 5 foot in diameter. You can see a reflection, and it's sitting there in his lab. These two kids come home, and they want to go see the lab, so they sneak in. They put their hand on a sphere. Their hand goes through it. Poof. They end up in a parallel universe, almost like The Hobbit.
Wow.
It's real, and he modeled it after his own family, and I was thinking how parallel
My story is.
your story, and you have not read this one.
No.
His
No.
name is John Kramer, He's still alive. He wrote this science column for years
Yeah.
that just would turn on anybody that's into the, Jamie
Well-
would have loved his column.
Yeah. Well, one thing I've learned about myself, writing this book, besides the first two books, which were from memory, this is bringing out more
Yeah.
intellectual capacity from me and creativity that I never knew I had. So, you know,
Yeah.
just to go.
Anytime we can do that it's a wonderful thing, isn't it?
Yes,
Yeah.
and it just goes to show you people out there, especially people with mental conditions, you can do a lot of things, you know. Just figure out what you're talented at. We all have gifts and talents and special qualities, and try to feed on that and develop it, you know. And you'll be happy.
We got a Writers Guild. Bob and I joined the fourth Tuesday of each month at 7 to 8:30 at Barnes & Noble. One of our producers there, Shirley Landers, the director. I don't know how that lady runs shows, directs the Writers Guild. I mean, she and you defy age.
Yeah.
Literally. I don't know how y'all do it. I mean, I'm trying to edit my short story I wrote in '79.
Mhm.
You guys are inspiring me. I
Well,
mean,
thank
this
you.
is rekindled. As you read it, I was starting to get ideas of revising my story.
Well, good. You know, it's a joy to write. I never knew I'd be a writer, you know. Back then, when I was smoking 4 packs of cigarettes a day, all I wanted was a job making $20,000, and I figured that's as far as I would ever go. But I've gone a little bit further since I gave my life over to job. But you know, you learn something about yourself when you write.
Oh, believe
You know.
me.
And that's a good thing for you, Emily. Emily is highly intelligent,
Thank
and
you.
she's an avid reader. So maybe you'll learn something. You know,
Are you thinking about doing some writing?
I would love to see what I come up with. I really
Yeah,
would.
you would
I would
come-
probably come up with something interesting, I'm sure.
You would.
I would?
Yeah, you would. Now we have Jim Ferris, and Jim is gonna play some music. You want to
Okay.
play? Jim?
Sure. We can sit up on the edge a little bit. so
Okay, yeah.
I don't fall off here. You and me are two of a kind. One's vinegar, the other's wine. We're like two peas from the same pod. We're said, even and odd. We rarely see things eye to eye. We disagree a lot, but we hardly ever fight. Caught a car, 2 steering wheels. Somehow you know just how I feel. You and me are 2 square pegs, and life is a round hole. No matter how you pound on us, squaring around just don't go. We've been known to bicker and fuss, hitting ain't allowed, hardly ever cuss. They said we would not last.
That's good.
We're still here, she's got the last laugh. I'm getting creaky and gray, but you look better every single day. Keep your chin up, don't be afraid, lads. Love each other, hands on the way. You and me are 2 square pegs, and life is a round hole. No matter how you pound on us, squaring around just don't go. and me are two square pegs and life is a round hole. No matter how they pound on us, square and around just won't go. Guess we're growing up at this late stage. Really doesn't seem all that great. I remember you and me walking hand in hand with the old oak trees. They said we're too different to last long. Guess we've proved people all wrong. We're like two peas from the same pod. We're a set, even and odd. You and me are two square pegs and life is a round hole. No matter how they pound on us, square and around just don't go.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
We're gonna get you to sing again after a while.
Okay.
Jim, can you
Thank
just give a little background about yourself and so we can know you a little better?
Sure. I grew up in the Alexandria area and lived there until I was in my late teens and lived in Savannah, Georgia for a little while. Met my wife and married. Moved back to Louisiana like a lot of people. Then we lived away from in Texas in the Midwest for another 20 years. A little better than 20 years. Moved back to Louisiana in 2002. I started playing this thing when I was about 12 years old and kind of
Wow,
Wow,
you play well.
and
I love it.
still hadn't figured it out yet.
Well, you know what I noticed? A lot of artists, when they play and sing, you know, especially a lot of rock, you don't understand what they're saying. You can't understand the words, you know?
Right?
You know, so.
But when it comes to good old folk music.
Yeah, you can understand the words, you know,
Right.
and
That's
relate
half
to
of
it.
it. So.
Do you know Von Gordon? Because he's also from Texas.
I know his name. I don't know if I'm.
Yeah, he's been here on our
Yeah.
set. We have to get you two together
Oh,
sometime.
okay.
Yeah, we're gonna get you to sing another song after all.
Okay.
That, you know, like we say, the show is about mental health, and also we talk about the human condition. And last week we talked about shame, I think.
Yeah.
And we didn't cover it completely. We could go back over it, but you know, this today we're going to talk about anger. And you know, I've noticed, you know, every day you see people, if you look on their faces, a lot of people seem with the stress of this life, the world it is today, a lot of people are angry about a lot of things, you know? And of course, everybody has a right to be angry because there's so many injustices and abuses and backstabbing and out for your own self and screw the other guy that's going on, you know? There's good. Let me read something up that I researched. Everybody has to deal with anger from time to time, but what's the best way to handle it? To answer that question, we must first understand what anger really is. Anger is an emotion often characterized by feelings of great displeasure, indignation, hostility, wrath, and vengeance. Many times, reacting in anger is how we express our dissatisfaction with life. It's defined in the Greek language as the strongest of all passions. But I will have to say, I don't believe that. You know, I know it's a strong passion, but I would say that love is the strongest passion of them all. You know, and it's the most powerful, besides prayer.
Which Jim's song talked about.
Yeah. Anger begins with a feeling that's often expressed in words or action. We feel something and it causes a reaction. What y'all think about that?
I think shame and anger can correlate very well too.
I think so,
I
too.
think that a lot of times it's anger is in place to cover up the shame and the guilt
Yeah.
that there is. You know?
Yeah,
And that's why we get so angry and why things can be so hostile a bit,
Yeah.
hostile is because of shame and guilt that people have, you know, whether it's because they did something or because something was done to them or what it is, it's
yeah,
I went
the
through all
shame,
that.
right?
In elementary school, I was extremely small and short for my height or my age. And I got picked on to the point of being shamed. And one day I just had it.
Yeah.
I started scratching this guy with my fingernails.
mhm,
Principal comes over to see what was going down. The bully had sat on me and two other my friends in a mud puddle. And
not fun.
the guy's fussing at me, saying, "Ricky, you're scratching me. I'm going to tell on you." All of a sudden, this big shadow is looming over us. And I hear the principal saying, "Mr. Spiegelberger, you're coming with me. You're picking on Ricky and his friends." He picked him up by his collar, marked hollering, and he got a whooping. Now, this was not the kind where they beat you all up. It was the kind where they taught him a lesson. They could do that back in the 60s, but
Yeah,
it took me years to get over the lack of self-esteem, the being shamed, that I was small,
yeah,
spaghetti arms, 4 eyes, you name it. I went through all that in junior high, some of high school, and it took another 15, 20 years. I never would have been dreaming about being on this set. That was
Yeah.
the farthest thing from my mind.
yeah. Well, that reminds me of the neglect my dad did to me.
Yeah.
And when he would jump all over me,
Yeah.
the shame, I guess it was shame I would feel, and also the anger from the abuse, you know?
Yeah.
A lot of that, you know?
Same here.
And you know, like as kids, we take it to heart, you know?
Yeah.
And Emily, you've been through some of that too.
Oh yeah. I mean, it definitely, some part of me was thinking when Richard was talking, well, that certainly isn't a good way to deal with the kid that was pummeling you know,
Right.
for him to get ripped off and beaten because now he feels shame and now
Right.
he feels anger
Right.
and hostility towards you and
Right.
the teacher now, especially,
Right,
you know.
right.
So, neither way of it is really good. I mean, the real way to deal with anger and shame is to get healthy ways to cope with anger and shame.
Right.
Yeah.
To be
We weren't taught that back then.
Yeah,
No.
yeah.
It wasn't part of
Right.
the psychological makeup or study, but wasn't known, you know. Let me see some of the things that the anger. Anger is the fruit of rotten roots. One of the primary roots of anger stems from the family. Angry people come from angry families because they learn from their role models and carry on the same behavior in their own lives, eventually passing it on to their children. Here's some of the roots of anger. Injustice. We've all had injustice done to us, you know. Everybody in the world has had injustice done to us, you know. And you know, and some people have really, you know, like I was mostly, my dad didn't abuse, my dad picked on me and had no respect for me, but most of what my dad did to me was neglect, you know, until I grew up and then some of the abuse
You
started.
mean neglect as far as
Being a father, no nurturing, no nothing,
affection,
no nothing
no-
at all, no
yeah,
nothing.
yeah.
Completely zip. And of course, I had a great childhood. He was a fantastic provider. We were considered rich in those days, upper middle class family with him having his own drugstore and everything we needed. And I had a great childhood. And little did I know it would affect me in adulthood, you know. And a lot of people have been abused like that. And a lot of people like it's almost like kids, they go through a divorce, they blame themselves in their anger,
Yeah.
they turn their anger into themselves, because they think it's their fault,
Something I need to learn about, Bob, about my anger and my shame and my hostility is fear. I need to learn why. I mean, I should know why I have fear.
Yeah.
I was very much abused and very,
Yeah.
very, as you would say, neglected, and I was abused and all those things. And it definitely makes me feel
Fearful.
just everything.
Yeah.
Like just having a conversation with you, even like that's how afraid I am sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's awful.
Yeah, with my schizophrenia, sometimes when I'm talking to somebody, I don't know if it's not anger, it's the schizophrenia.
Yeah.
But I can relate to
Yeah.
you because your mind starts drifting,
Yeah.
And not only does your mind start drifting, my schizophrenia
Right.
talks to me,
Right.
Like I might be talking to somebody that I want them to accept me, and I'll be fearful that I'll mess up or something, and with my schizophrenia, I'll start to, man, my eyes will get big, that'll freak them out, and I might say to myself, in my schizophrenia, I love you, or I want you, or something crazy like that I don't mean at all, but it's not like that like it used to be, I'm a lot more stable than I was. I've been dealing with this 45 years, and you learn some ways to deal with
Well,
it.
with me, it was fear of, will I major up? I started comparing. Job interviewing was miserable for me.
Yeah,
Thought,
some
how am
people.
I going to even possibly compete with someone with a PhD out there? And then when it came to trying to find someone in my life or go to a dance, I was a wallflower.
I was always a
So
wallflower.
I relate to a lot of parts of your book, but going back to the fear thing, the pastor said this recently at Denver and Roseland's church. Fear equals false evidence that appears real.
Mm-hmm.
I have been turning that over in my mind ever since he said it. I may not have remembered 99% of what else he said, but that just stuck in me because I naturally get some irrational fears. Like, I used to be terrified going on an airplane. Like, what happens if the engine quits? Are we going to fall? I watched too many stupid movies on TV, of course. I didn't help, but it was an irrational fear.
Yeah.
You're actually safer on that airplane than going down I-10 or Johnston. Jim, have you ever had anything like this to deal with?
Oh, I've had anger, and it was based on, I think it was motivated by fear,
Yeah.
sure.
What was the fear of?
Well, I don't
You
know.
might not want to
Yeah.
talk about it.
Yeah, I hadn't
Yeah.
really thought about it too much lately. Had a pretty strict upbringing. And,
Yeah. Well,
I think
back
that
then, the
that's
dads back then, they didn't know how nurturing, they didn't nurture, The dad, I know you're younger than me and Richard, Jim, but, back then, the dads in the 50s and 60s and maybe even the 70s, they were the guys that beat the butts of the Japanese and Germans. They were tough. They went through the Depression.
Yeah.
They survived that, and they were tough men. And after the war, they came back, married their childhood sweethearts, and started producing babies, like they called the baby generation. The baby boomers. But anyway, nurturing wasn't part of it,
Right.
Back then, the society just earned the money and let the wives take care of the nurturing,
Well, in my
Some
day,
of-
if I looked at them wrong or moved wrong, there'd be a whooping.
Yeah, I know.
I couldn't measure up.
They were strict men back then.
Well, and you know that some of them had issues coming from their experiences in World War II.
Of course, I've heard some of that,
Yeah.
yeah.
Every
Yeah.
Shell
war through
shock.
history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
So, but yeah, so,
Interesting.
we all have to deal with our own issues, as human beings, But let me read some. Here's another one, strife, which is hidden, repressed anger begins with judgment, gossip, backbiting, and thinking too highly of yourself. It's often exhibited in arguing, bickering, heated disagreements, and angry undercurrents.
Oh, yes, I've seen that.
Impatience, that's me. Richard knew me. You didn't know me, Emily. You might think I'm a sweetheart at times.
Oh, I do.
But Rich, I was
Impatient?
I was super impatient. You know,
You be in a line at a convenience store, and man, one little thing would just set you off.
I start fussing
Yeah.
fussing at the
Like
people.
my friend said, you'd had a swearing carnality fit that would turn their hair blue.
Yeah.
But you're not like that anymore.
No, I've grown, and of course my relationship, my spiritual relationship with the Almighty has changed me completely. You know,
Yes.
and also, you know, and also being put together with Richard and Emily and Nellie. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
We're all here as a team.
We,
have to
me,
accept
Richard,
it.
and Nellie have been working on each other and helping each other out for the past 5 or 6 years, you know. And we've all grown from learning from each other. And even now, with the addition to Emily and also Carolyn and also Denver Nobles and Rosalind and also Chili, our new friend Chili, we're all starting to become like a little family, you
Yes.
know, and start to grow together, you know.
Tell them about the support groups.
They have the NAMI support group that Denver Nobles and Rosalind and Emily run. Denver and Emily run the support group for people, the consumers, which they are called, for people with mental illnesses. And you know, we meet the first and third Sunday of every month at the Lutheran Church, which is the church behind Academy. And it is really good, you know. I mean, there's people out there like I was, by themselves,
Yeah.
isolated, with nobody to talk to. They're so scared to get out their house or whatever condition they have, mental condition, and they can share what's going on with them in these meetings, you know.
Yeah.
And none of this gets out except among the people that are there, you
There's a
know.
second group too.
And the second group is, what's it called?
Friends and family of those with mental health issues.
Yeah, and that's for friends and family of people that have mental health issues. So
Yeah.
their spouses or friends or relatives can learn to deal with somebody with a
Right.
mental health issue, you know.
We have grown a little. I have made, I'd say, about 15 new friends through the group. It's been a growing and a learning experience. You learn something new every time you go.
Yeah.
You meet someone new. There are people who go and may not say anything for several times, but as they see others open up, they start to open up. It's peer to peer. I want to take the training to become a facilitator. I'm just going to put it out there. That doesn't mean I'll be one right away, but
Yeah.
there's also an education course. What is it called? The 12-week course? Help
I
me
want
out.
to take the education course.
The
Oh, come on. What is it?
family to family education.
Family to
course?
family.
Yeah.
I have the 250-page binder, 12 sections. The section on medication helped a friend in crisis recently when they realized a new med they had been put on. The doctor wasn't doing their homework.
Yeah.
This is one thing I stress. Don't assume the doctor has all your information.
No, I would like to say, I've learned something about doctors. I've been dealing with psychiatrists and psychologists. And one thing, when you talk to the doctor, you know, people can read other people, or our spirits can bear witness to other spirits of people. And if the doctor seems like he's not interested or anything, you know, he probably doesn't care about you, because there's a lot of doctors. All they want to do is make their hundreds of thousands of dollars. They go play golf and dispense medicine to the people and don't even worry about them and get their money.
I
But if
believe
you,
that's probably very true in a lot of situations, but there's a couple good doctors out
There are
there.
some-
yeah, there's some, and I'm trying to say, if you talk to a doctor and it seems, and we can sense this from people, if they seem like they're emphatic, they have empathy toward you and compassion, then go with them, you know, because they probably are caring people and want to help you, you know.
But don't assume they know everything. Make sure you tell them what other doctors you're going to, and if you're on meds for your mental health or other conditions or supplements, let them know. There are some things like St. John's wort, if you take that with your psych meds, you could end up seriously in the hospital. So let them know, communicate and advocate.
Yes.
I learned that the hard way. I lost the sight in my left eye because I didn't ask questions. I didn't get that second or third opinion.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if the doctor is secure, they won't mind you doing that.
Yeah.
If they start bringing up an issue, then it may be time to go check for someone else.
Yeah.
I learned all this the
You
hard
know,
way.
you can get a second opinion, or
Yeah.
Yes.
wouldn't you agree?
Mhm.
Yes. And when you're dealing with your mental health, if that doctor is on your wavelength, and you can pretty much tell, let them know what's going on. Don't hold back. Now, it might take a couple of visits. The support groups is a good thing to go to. You can network, get names of doctors there. I've seen that happen.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, so, you know, talk to people. You know, people that have been to the same similar doctors. You can learn all this in support groups, you know.
Yeah.
And also hospitals, because there are some hospitals around here, psych hospitals. I won't mention them because I don't want to get sued, but they're not too cool, you know, in the Acadian area. That's all I'll say. But this is what I would like to say about anger and this is how I deal with anger. You know, sorry. First of all, I have a history of abuse and injustice done to me just about all my life, you know. No one romantically hardly was ever interested in me. Nobody was really interested in me or thought much of me. But, and I've taken a lot of abuse. And what I'm trying to say, what was my trend of thought? Damn, I lost my
dealt with
trend.
all the anger.
Well, oh yeah,
abuse.
okay, because of the anger and everything that I've had from all the abuse, the only way I've gotten a lot of it is through forgiveness.
Right. I think it's important to know those triggers or those symptoms of triggers that you have. Like you said, your eyes get big and dilated and stuff when you get angry, because you're focused in and you're paranoid, you know, and like that's what that is. For me, I get little sparklers going off my head, and I melt down, and I completely melt down, and I melt away, you know,
Yeah, I know.
into
I get these
mental health
crazy
problems.
anxiety attacks where I get the muscle
Yeah.
spasms. They
Muscle
hurt.
spasms,
Oh, they
okay.
hurt.
Yeah.
I had them as a kid. I thought I was getting a heart attack, and it's because my dad and we fussed over homework, and I just storm off and say, forget it. Flunked the class, and I didn't know all that cortisol and stress was building up, and boom.
Yeah.
Somebody was fussing at me one day. I bent over double in pain.
Yeah.
I've now learned to just walk away from it, take some deep breaths, to stay out of the situation if at all possible. Sometimes it's not possible, but it's hard for me to keep my yap shut.
No,
But
I never knew
I've
that.
learned that there are times when you just have to say, I'm sorry, but I finished what I gotta say, let's just drop it and move on.
Yeah, I would like to say, one of the reasons that, like, y'all knew me when I was angry, Richard.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
very angry.
Oh, yeah.
From, you know, like, one of the things that about me being angry is from all of the abuse I've gotten, and I've gotten a whole lot. And I know people have gotten even worse abuse than me, physical abuse. I've never really had physical abuse, but I've had a lot of abuse, but I've never retaliated back, always kept it inside. And you can't keep anger inside. It'll fester in you like a cancer,
Yeah.
And that's why you see these people going off the deep end and shooting people and stuff like that, or like the Pope going postal, like they say, And if you ask, if you believe in the spiritual life or your higher power, I believe in Jesus. That's my higher power. I ask Him to help me, and I've had people have hurt me really bad that I didn't deserve, and I've got, I'd like to get back at them,
Yeah.
and hate, I have to ask God to help me learn to forgive, and we're only human, when people do us wrong, we want to get back at them, we feel the anger,
Yeah.
and it's just normal, and you got to I ask God, if I can't forgive them, help me learn to forgive them, And if you do that, some of the anger will go. This isn't a religious show by far, but we talk a lot about spirituality,
You're directing your anger away. You're learning to control it. You've asked your source, like the Lord, to say, okay, I have a bad problem in this area. Help me to next time not react the same way.
Yeah,
And it's hard, believe me.
it's hard.
It is.
Especially if somebody did you something wrong.
Yeah, like rip off on remodeling. I had a guy that ripped us off horribly. I could not quit obsessing about that for years.
Yeah.
And it was affecting my health, physical health, not just my mental health.
Yeah.
They've actually seen that some people.
Y'all lost some money on that.
Believe me. But it was hurting me physically. It was bringing my health down, and I've even heard that there might even be some implications about things like cancer.
Yeah.
They've seen people not get well as they could because there was some other thing going on about anger, and when they
Yeah,
brought anger,
a lot of anger brings out hate, and hate will destroy you.
Oh,
And they'll affect you mentally, physically, every which way,
Yeah.
emotionally, every which way. And we've all had reasons to hate. Even you, Jim, wouldn't you agree? I mean, you seem like the most stable guy I've ever met, but we've all hated.
I hope that's not the case. Sure.
Yeah.
But when you hate somebody, you give them control of them.
Yeah, that's right. And then they don't care whether you hate them or not.
Right.
yeah.
That's right.
Yep, you got it. I'm gonna go grab it now, and I got you on.
But anyway, we're having a good. So let me see what else I got right here about anger. So that's some good stuff, Forgiveness, Okay, Jim, you want to sing again?
Sure.
Okay.
How about if I play an instrumental?
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry.
Get back to the.
We'll end up the show like that. Huh? I would like to say while Jim's playing, like we have music on the show because it is a mental health deterrent. It helps you mentally, spiritually, and physically.
Yes.
You know, the music, you know, is spiritual. And like we talk a lot about spirituality. Like when you're in your spiritual realm, I guess, you feel peace and you're happy. And music brings a lot of that out in somebody. And then it can also diffuse anger if you get mad at somebody.
Yes.
You know. That's why I listen to music all the time. And then I'm sure Jim does too, you know, and all of us, you know.
Well, thank you, Jackie, Jake, William, Ed. I'm forgetting all this.
Oh, Ed Bowie, we thank you, Jacob White, for helping us, man. Jacob has been a champ helping us out. Ed Bowie, the backbone of AOC.